Okay, we're rolling. Allie, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Can you tell me about your art, what you do?
Oh, where do we start? So I'm a pastel artist. I started art probably about 3 years ago when we moved here to Montana. Um, it was not necessarily something that I spent time in my childhood doing. Um, I was a athlete and went to school actually on a pre-med route, so definitely very different approach on life at this point. But
Sure.
but I kind of just found my way into the pastel world, and honestly, it just has completely changed my life and something that I'm really passionate about. So I paint in a kind of more photorealistic way, and the whole point of my um, pastel art is it's supposed to like look like a photo from a distance, but up close, pastel is really unique because you're using your hands a lot and it's not the traditional like um oil and brush and that sort of take on art. So I like to up close be able to see like all of the little pastel marks. Um
Can you define pastel for me? Pastel art.
um I think this is what's interesting about me because or just like transparently about me because I don't have any background in art. People ask questions like that and I'm
Okay.
like, we're figuring it out together.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, I am too.
Pastel
So,
though is like, so this is like my interpretation of what pastel is. Pastel is essentially a dry medium. So it's like a chalk form. I work with pastel sticks and pastel pencils. So essentially, um, pastel can continue to be worked on, like over
okay.
time. It goes in a frame with glass, and that's how it's preserved. Um, so I don't know. Like, is that like is that what you're asking about
Yeah, I'm just
pastel?
asking you how that category is defined and what when you say that, what's the general definition?
Yeah. I mean, there's like oil pastel and soft pastel. I work with soft pastel. Um, so like I was saying, work with the pastel sticks. And it's kind of like a chalk form and use my hands to like blend and add the detail and that sort of thing.
And you don't have a background doing this.
Mm-mm.
How did this begin?
Well, I think I was at the end of my undergrad and I it was during COVID and I kind of just had like a small doubt of being a doctor is a very big decision and it's a commitment not only with the schooling but the schedule and the time and um showing up for your patients and that sort of thing and I just had a small doubt that maybe that was not what I was supposed to be doing. So I finished my undergrad and my husband now, we were dating then, and his during COVID, he lived in Kansas City. I'm from Arkansas, so we were apart, and I had gone to visit him. Um, and his family actually lived in Livingston 20 years ago, and his mom's an artist. She's a fiber artist, and she had said to me from the beginning when we met 4 years before this, um, "You're not going to be a doctor. You're going to be an artist." And I was like, "Oh, no, I don't think that's my, I don't think that's my route, but thank you." And anyways, fast forward to COVID when I visited him, um, none of us had anything to do.
Yeah.
So, she would kind of like just encourage me to practice things and she would show me her art forms and that sort of thing. So I do like think that I tell everybody I owe a lot to her, like kind of just pushing me to like find that creative side. Um, but yeah, I think from there found pastel like and just ran with it. I mean, it was a complete 360 in a very short period of time. So
Do you think she saw something in you that told her that you were going to be an artist? Do you have that artistic side of you, or are you more of a type A? I'm going to be a doctor.
I'm definitely a type A person. Like I'm very structured. I do everything by the book, that sort of thing. Um, I don't know. Maybe she did see something like but I don't know. I couldn't, looking back, I couldn't tell you like what it was. I mean, I had only taken one art class in high school, like, the mandatory like courses that you're supposed to take. And at that point in my life, everybody, then said to like the same thing, like, I think you're going to be an artist. And I'm like, when you're 18, I mean, you're not going to listen to anybody.
Yeah.
um, so I don't know, but I do appreciate whatever she did see because we wouldn't, be here if I didn't have that encouragement to go this route.
Yeah. It's interesting. The struggle I see with artists when when they don't have that type A side is they can create beautiful work and then they have no structure or system to make it a business to get it out in the
Mhm.
world. And when the, whether it's a second person or you can find the ability to combine those two sides of a personality, it's awesome because
Mhm.
it gets shared with the world and you
Yeah.
can make a living off of it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's been like truly, it's a hustle. I mean, it
Yeah.
is. I get up at 3 a.m. every morning. I think kind of what we were talking about before, like finding a way to turn a hobby into a business is a really like awesome thing. Um, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I do think had I not like you're saying, had that type A like side of me, I don't know, I don't think that I would be like in the position with my art that I am. Um, I have this conversation a lot with people about, it's not necessarily that I want to sell my art and I want to talk about my art to everybody. I think that kind of gets misconstrued with a lot of artists, but to me it is a business and it's something that I'm, you know, building to do for the rest of my life. So, I strategically find ways to like bring it into a conversation or put it into a design or um whatever, but yeah, I've had a few people reach out on Instagram, younger artists maybe just getting started, and I always like to give any advice that I can. And I tell them like I still don't have a clue what I'm doing. I just have a dream and want it to be like really successful.
Hi, folks. Quick note from me. If you don't already know, the goal of Mountain Mule Media is to build real connection between Montana's businesses and the people they serve. If this episode or any other has given you something worth thinking about, smiling at, or passing along, I've got a small ask. Share it with a friend, text it to someone, post it in your story. That one simple action helps these businesses get seen, grow, and thrive, and it helps this show keep going. Thank you for supporting these Montana businesses. Now back to the show.
So it starts with, you know, having the discipline is really the big thing. And that's what I'm saying about getting up at 3 a.m. Like I'm working 14-hour days for this. So yeah, it's a
There's
lot.
kind of an unfortunate narrative too that if you're turning it into a business, you're almost bastardizing the art. And I think you can have both if and there's sometimes it's going to vary one more than the other, but it's very idealistic to want to be a artist that can create all kinds of beautiful stuff and then not want to. I mean, we all need to make a living and want to make a
Yeah.
living. So,
But it's not creating artwork to sell. I think that's like the thing that I've kind of like stuck with in all of this. Because when we moved here and I started art, I was, you know, I went full in, like jumped off the deep end. Like I had no game plan. I had no idea what I was doing. And luckily I had, my husband who's very supportive and I worked from home full time, like on my art, like, in the studio. Um and I think when I started, I was like, oh, I have to make artwork to sell it. And like that has to be the plan. And then I realized that it takes away like I think collectors and, you know, people that are looking at the art can tell when you're making it to sell. So now I'm like, I, I paint my saddles and I paint things that are intriguing to me and like the composition of the art that I'm doing is sp- like specific to what I'm seeing. And my whole mindset at this point is if it doesn't sell, great, I get to keep it in my house. Like I'm painting it because I love it. And if it does, then great. Like it gets to be in somebody else's house. So I think that's like a big part of it. And yeah.
No, that makes complete sense if that's your compass. Would I do this if no one was going to buy it? And that doesn't mean you can't sell it and make a living, but if you're making it with that sole purpose of selling it, I'd imagine anyone, as you're saying, they can tell that your heart's not in it or the
Yeah.
intention is misaligned.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if my art didn't sell, and for a while it didn't. I spent a year like creating pieces in a portfolio just to have the leverage and the portfolio essentially portfolio to be able to reach out to galleries and auctions and um, even start to get my names out there. And I'm still working on that. By no means am I like a staff, like, a big
Yeah.
established artist, but um, for a while it didn't sell and I was fine with that. It's just part of it. Like you have to put in the legwork and you have to put in the time and the effort. And my thought is eventually that it will, take off in any business that you're doing. As long as you have the motivation and dedication to do it. I mean, that's just my take.
How did you maintain the confidence when it wasn't selling to keep doing it?
mm, I think I've been my entire life. I think I have been, and I don't mean this in any way other than like a humble way. Just I want to prove myself, and I want to succeed. I think is like that's it's kind of hard because it's like I don't want to like succeed in a way that like people uh are like, "Oh yeah, she's that artist," or whatever. It's more so proving it to myself and like once I have something in my head, I don't stop until I get there. And it's been like that with sports, with school, with um like I got it in my head that I wanted to move to Montana and we did that in 2 weeks, just like made the switch. And to me, I have no other option than to figure out like how to make it work. So that's my mindset. So I just don't give up on things.
That's a beautiful mindset. There's no other option. What
Yeah.
sports did you play?
I played basketball,
Okay.
cross country and track, and yeah, it was a big part of my life.
Did
And
it
I think that I think playing sports too is why I have like a lot of the mindset that I do have. So I'm thankful to have spent a lot of years doing it.
was that coaches, family, friends that helped with that mindset?
Yeah, I think everybody
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, probably I think a lot of times like coaches think or people think of coaches as like people directing the game, but they truly are character building. I mean, when you're spending so much time um, with a single person that, is coaching you on your mindset, on your attitude, on, like um, striving for something. So, I mean, yeah, I think it's definitely coaches and good parents like mine that, you know, try to set you up in stuff like that at a young age. I think it's important to like be established and stuff for a while. So,
Yeah. When we go back to the art you're doing, how does this process work? This art is of photography that you're taking.
so I started with working with other photographers, and I think because photography is an art for sure. So like art inspires art, in my opinion. So I would purchase reference photos from them. Um, and the saddle pieces in kind of the route that I'm moving now, I started taking those photos myself, and I do still work with some photographers on those. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard because of the style of artwork that I do to work with photographers because, why wouldn't they just sell their photo as a print and like that could be art in people's
Yeah.
home as well. So that's why I kind of started moving to like finding my niche and taking my own photos. So the saddle pieces are um, in correlation with the type of artwork I do. Like I want I want people to like slow down and focus on the details of things, and my art is the same. Like it's a lot of detail and a lot of time and hours, and like with the saddle composition, like I think a lot of people kind of overlook what it takes to like be able to saddle a horse and ride a horse, and like what that means and how much it like impacts like people's lives. I mean, like look at all these ranchers that like saddle their horses every day to like do their work, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um so yeah, I've started taking my own photos, and also sometimes I just work from my head. I have a slight photographic memory. So when I see something, I can somewhat recreate it as I see it in my head.
I'm like pulling up your pieces because I'm looking. So what, like this before the ride, and I can put a picture up on the screen when this comes out. But if you tell me about this painting, if I'm phrasing that right, but tell me about it and what the process is.
I don't know if they're referred to as
Okay,
paintings or
okay,
drawings, so we can call them both. And I
okay.
tell people that all the time because I'm like, they are technically drawings because I'm doing them with a pencil. But if you were to like put water on the pastel, it turns into paint,
Okay.
you know? So I don't know. We can call them both pastel drawings,
I
paintings.
find it incredible that that's not a picture. It's hard to believe.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And where, yeah, the depth of your intention and mindset with those details, where does that come from? Is it
I think it comes from just how I am as a person. Like I have always been like very detail oriented, and I like can appreciate like essentially just the details and everything. I mean, I don't know. Um
I know I had I want you to keep going on that, but I have one of your captions that said something similar to that. I'm gonna read it to you. Looking past the obvious, close observation and engagement of the subject is my process. Though my pieces are meant to look like photos at first glance, I am proud that up close the viewer is able to see the hundreds of thousands of tedious pastel marks. My goal is to inspire those who see my work to look more carefully at the detail and the things around them.
mhm.
Very cool.
Thank you. I spent a lot of time crafting that.
So that's a lot of that is your thought process
Yes.
when you're doing these.
Mhm.
That's very cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe it does go back to like essentially like being wanting to be a doctor, and like when you are in anatomy class and looking at like what makes us humans and you know that sort of thing. I think maybe that side of my brain kind of like transitions into my art of why I, you know, want to um focus on the details. But yeah, it's just people we're going so fast in life all the time. Um and so I just want people to slow down and look. And when I had my first solo show back in I guess it was 2024, um I guess it did kind of go the way that I wanted it to, and that saddle piece was there. People would like look at it and kind of walk by, and then I would see them go back and stop and look again and look at all of the detail. And to me, like that was my whole goal. Like slow people down, have them appreciate like not necessarily my specific art, but like again, the detail and like uh the saddle and the leather you know, and the worn look of the leather. And then the conversation started of like, oh, you know, somebody must have really spent a lot of time on this horse in this saddle. And like, you know, it just like kind of started crafting like deeper conversations between people as they were standing there. I mean, this was like at the solo show. I was standing there just like listening to people talk, which was really cool. So, I mean, yeah, that's kind of the thought.
Is that the lens you look at most of life through with those details? Or is it's probably more specific when you're painting? Because I mean, I'd imagine you could almost get exhausted because there's details everywhere with everything in life.
Yeah. Um, no, I mean, yes and no. Like I anybody that knows me knows that I am, uh, like I said, one of the people that go 100 miles an hour. So it's a nice reminder to me to take time and slow down. But I don't know if it's necessarily that I like specifically am looking for all of the details and everything in life, but I just appreciate them. Like even sitting here with you talking, on your podcast, like that's something that you've spent a lot of time on, and I can see all of the details and like in your room, like all of the aspects that make this what it is. So I just try to appreciate things.
I feel like it has a long way to go, but thank you.
No, it's nice.
Thank you.
Cozy. You have
It's
good water.
that. No, I mean, I got goosebumps when you said it earlier because what a beautiful way to look at life and appreciate the details that are right in front of us. And
Mhm.
it's easy to get caught up going a million miles an hour all the time and miss everything.
Mhm.
So you drop into that place, I'd imagine, when you're creating these pieces of art.
Yeah, I feel like I have a lot going on in my life, and I have a lot going on in my head, and I think maybe it's just never quiet up in here, and I think we all kind of go through that. My art is the one place other than like if I'm running, I love to run, where it's completely silent. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? It's kind of I don't think about anything else because I'm putting so much energy into like right in front of me. Um, so I think that goes back to why I get up at 3 a.m. It's the best time of the day because the world's completely quiet. Like most people are sleeping, and it's quiet in the world, but it's also quiet in my head when I'm working. So yeah, it's cool. I mean, that's not just to be an artist, but I feel like everybody finding like that one thing that makes them feel the way that art makes me feel is like I want that for everybody, you know?
Yeah. I I've noticed it in my life is I I got very into martial arts and Brazilian jiu-jitsu when I moved here. And I was there every day all the time, and I haven't been back in a little while because of an injury, but I started to look at that lens for everyone, that hopefully everyone can find that thing, and
Mhm.
they're trying to get better at it and they love it and it's an obsession. And for a little while I wanted everyone to do the one thing I was doing. And then you realize that doesn't work for a lot of people,
Mhm.
but it is very cool when I see people that find that thing and they enjoy it and they see the endless opportunity for growth within what they're doing and themselves, and it's
Yeah,
very cool.
definitely.
3 a.m. is very savage. You do that every day?
Um, if my husband listens to this, he needs to mind his business because I do tell people, yes, I get up at 3 a.m., but sometimes it's 4,
Okay.
sometimes it's 5. But it's not, it's again, he's like, oh, you just want to say that as like you're cooler than everybody. And I'm like, no, like it's honestly like another thing that I have to hold myself accountable to. And like it makes me feel cool about myself.
Yeah.
I can be like, oh, yeah, I get up at 3. Um, Not every morning,
Yeah.
but most mornings.
What time do you go to bed on average?
Go to bed.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a grandma. I go to bed at like 8:30,
Nice.
asleep by 9.
Yeah.
So I try to get 7 hours of sleep to be like a good functioning human.
Yeah.
But
No, I agree with you. When I was driving a lot more too, we'd have a lot of early morning pickups, and I grew up on a dairy farm, so I've chronically been getting up early
Mhm.
against my will or on my own my entire life. I thought when I stopped dairy farming that for some reason that would stop, and it doesn't.
Mm-mm.
There's a peace and a quiet. If going through going through downtown Bozeman, going up to Big Sky, going out to Paradise Valley, it's so quiet,
Yep.
and
Mhm.
there's a peace that I I love the city and I love that there's all the people in it, but that peace in the morning when it's that quiet is definitely special. So I could see why there's, especially for anyone that's doing any kind of art and wants that time to themselves to not let the world dictate all of our thoughts.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of your stuff is very Western influenced. Is it, you have a background with horses and horseback riding?
I don't. I, like when I started my art, I just started with pastel and I started with horses because I love horses. I think I mean, I'm not because I draw them.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like not trying to be biased, but I do think that they are the best animals like on the planet because they can like sense a person's soul before you even touch them, before you even, get on them. And I've always been super intrigued by that. Like, anyways, I started with horses and it kind of has just led to this more Western saddles because of like my thought process behind it. But I did not grow up riding horses.
Okay.
I begged for a horse every day. Never got one. But
If your husband's still listening.
yeah, we just bought a house out in the valley. And so I'm like, well, this is perfect amount of land for a horse on this side of the house and one over here. So maybe eventually. But my parents have a family friend in Arkansas that he buys and sells like unbroken mules and
Okay.
horses, and so he like spends a lot of time with them. And a couple years ago, I don't know, the thought was to go out there and take reference photos or whatever, but I have rode horses before,
Mm-hmm.
but I started getting on these unbroken mules, and I'm sure they probably put me on the ones that aren't as crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have learned, I feel like, to ride by going out there. I haven't, it's like people are honestly kind of shocked when I tell them that we live here in Montana and I don't have a horse and I don't ride very often. But it's really hard.
Shame on you.
I know. It's really hard to find, people. Like,
Yeah.
we're all so spread out here. I mean, we've been here for 3 years and it's taken me quite some time to like make connections with people. But yeah, I'm always trying to sell my art and find a horse to ride. No, I, yeah, I think maybe the reason why I'm specific to horses with my art is because maybe there's always has been that part of me that has wanted a horse. And this is my way to like be connected with them and to have that in a way. But yeah.
That's an almost, like in a lot of circumstances, that could be an even cooler way. What a tribute to them.
Yeah. I guess, yeah. And uh with the tribute, like going back to the one of the photographers that I work with, she is based out of Canada. Um but she comes down to Wyoming to shoot the wild horses in Wyoming, and I feel like that's a cool way for me to be connected in a way of like saving the horses in that regard. So I'm pretty sure she has like some sort of proceed of her photography that goes back to saving them. And my goal is to eventually get to the place where I can start donating to that as well through my art. So a lot of the horses that I've been painting recently are those Wyoming horses.
Very cool.
So, yeah.
You know, uh, I can't recall the gentleman's name right now. He goes around the country and trains people with their horses. Because you were saying that they can sense so much
Mm-hmm.
before this, I'll find the name and send it to you because I'm not going to remember it right now, but he's just got this ability to tune into those horses.
Yeah.
And it's, I know there's a movie documentary about him and he comes from like a very abusive upbringing, but
Mm.
he's kind of then been able to look at the horses and see when people are just trying to
Yeah.
force them, and he can, in a intuitive way or whatever you want to call it, he's just, it's cool to watch the way he works with the horses.
Yeah, definitely. I've always been super intrigued by people like that, and watching like, I mean, even just like silly movies where there's like the horse whisperers out there. I'm like, I want to be that person. But no, like going back to where I ride in Arkansas, again, we're like mostly on mules, but I had gone out there one day and they had gotten a new mule in. She wasn't named yet, which is funny because I think like naming a mule for them is like they've finally gotten to a place of like comfortability with them. And anyways, the ranch hand that was out there, he had been trying to get on this mule and she kept kicking him, and like he was down pretty bad, and we were going for a trail ride and he was like, oh, we'll put you on on this one over here. Like you're not going to ride this mule because she's just not there yet. And I'm like, nobody had saw me, but I had already been over there, spending time with her, and I thought she was great. And like I said, like none of them had been able to really ride her, and I wound up riding her that day, and I had zero issues with her. She was taking me around branches, over logs. I jumped a fence with her. I mean, like she hands down is my favorite mule that I've ever rode, and I think it was just like this connection that we had, and it sounds so silly to say that, but truthfully, like I just knew that that was the one that I wanted to ride that day and like give her the chance, and she was great. So it's just really interesting to me, like maybe she sensed something about this ranch hand that like they just didn't vibe,
Yeah.
And but it was like that with a few people from my understanding, and then I walk up and she's like, "Okay, like we can go for a ride." I don't know. It's just I think that's the reason why I'm so like passionate about horses and or mules and the saddle pieces, and because it takes so much to get to that point with them. Like
Yeah.
they're very particular animals and they sense things, and it's just really amazing when you see anybody on a horse or a mule. Like it's taken a lot of time and a lot of character building and bonding and trust, and yeah, I'm just like passionate about it.
Yeah, I guess that the thought doesn't go into that as much that every great horse that you hop on, every dude ranch horse and trail horse, someone put the time in. They
Mhm.
at one point they were a
Yep.
horse that had never had anyone on it
Yep.
before. That gentleman that I still haven't recalled his name, he was, he's saying that they horses are prey, and it's the reason they have the eyes on the side of their head so they can see around them, and they have
Mm,
such great vision, and we're literally on top of them the way that a predator would be.
yeah.
And
Oh,
and they
man.
don't even, we're asking them to totally trust us.
Yep.
Like the same way that I think a lion or a bear, anything would, would attack them from behind and jump on them and grab a hold of their neck. And
Wow.
we're sitting on top of them, just like, hey, you cool with this?
Well, that's like a whole nother like approach to it. I've never thought of it that
Yeah.
way. Interesting.
When I find his name, I'll send it to you because
Yeah,
he's got some
thanks.
really cool work. And I'll put it in the notes or something so anyone else can. So I know I asked you that already, and you said you give advice to artists, but really it's a combination of discipline and hard work and
Yeah, and I hate like saying that because I feel like it's so cliche to,
yeah.
like a bit starting a business, running a business, like whatever. And when I was starting and I would reach out to people, you know, sometimes people would be like, it's just hard work, it's just discipline, like whatever. And I'm like, great, like I can appreciate that. But I try to like, when people reach out to me, help as much as I can. Like if they want to know like what my process is, like I'll tell you, because it's always I mean, I've asked questions, and when I have other artist friends or other people that are successful with their business actually take the time to like give me that information, I take that and run with it. Like I'm not just asking to find like the easy way out, and not have to like figure it out. It's just I think art inspires art and people inspire people, and we're all trying to like get to this point in life, and when we can like create like creatively, I don't know what the word that I'm looking for, like share ideas and bounce like experiences off of each other, like I feel like we're all just like getting more out of it, you know what I mean? So I try to like help where I can, but I also am like transparent that I also don't know what I'm doing. So I don't want to be like, yeah, it's just discipline and hard work, but essentially it is in a way.
Yeah. And yeah, it's a collaboration too when you
Yeah.
talk to other people and you take some of their ideas and make your own ideas. Do you do you know any or follow much Rick Rubin stuff?
Mm-mm.
He's a producer for a lot of very very successful artists, and he's got this a really interesting creative process. And he has no, as he says, he has no technical music background or music background whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got this really interesting way of sort of helping people and just seeing the people that really can lean into
Mm-hmm.
that creative side of themselves, similar to what you were saying, when they're doing it to do it and not doing it to.
Yeah.
And I know he's produced a bunch of stuff for Eminem
Hmm.
and some different rock band. His resume of different people, and he's a character of a guy. So if you
Yeah.
ever want to like look up somebody interesting, look up Rick
Yeah.
Rubin.
Add that to
Yeah,
to the podcast notes.
yeah, Rick Rubin and the horse guy, whose name will be in the notes.
Yeah.
If anyone
Mm.
wants to find your art and find your stuff and buy your art, where do they go for that?
um, so I obviously have my website, but I am in a gallery here in Bozeman Mountain Trails,
Okay.
and then a gallery in Big Timber, which is Two Rivers. That's actually where I started,
Oh, nice.
which I can appreciate because Big Timber is so great. It's
Mhm.
such a small town, and yeah. So I'm there, and then I'm constantly um trying to set up shows and auctions and kind of just everywhere. I mean, the goal is to be in the same auctions and fundraisers every year so that you can build that following. But just starting, like I've only been showing in a gallery for maybe a year and a half. So,
And you had the piece in the Warriors and Quiet Waters.
mhm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere else, anything upcoming on your schedule where anything will be?
Um, let's see. Well, this coming Friday is the first annual Park County auction in
Okay.
Livingston. So I have a piece there. And then I'm trying to make an appearance at the Russell in March in Montana. And I do a show in Canada every year. Um, I really, it's a auction that an artist friend, Judd Thompson, helped me kind of get into. And it's just like my favorite event of the entire year. It's like a tradition for me and my husband at this point. We like go up to East Glacier and camp and that sort of thing. But I'm there every year. And then let's see. I don't know. Lots of things.
But
I feel like I just reached out and applied to a lot of things this week. So much that I can't even quite remember.
and do you keep that updated on your social media or your website
Yes,
if
there's
stuff's
like
coming up?
upcoming events, past events on the homepage.
Nice.
So I try to like update that every week.
And tell me the domain for your website.
It's www dot that's always so funny.
Yeah.
TheAllieLouiseArt.com.
Okay, cool. I will put
There
that
is
in the
no
notes.
the in there. It's just Allie Louise
Okay.
Art.
Anything else anyone should know about you and what you're doing?
Hmm.
Anything they can do to support you?
I guess not. I'm not that interesting of a person.
Hey,
Just
come on.
on my own little path about life and art.
Yeah, well, it's very cool and it's very. I'll put some of it up in the video, but it's very impressive and it's very
Thank you.
very cool artwork.
Yeah, I like am grateful that you asked me to be here and talk about things
Yeah,
like
I
this.
told you my fiance is a big fan of yours. Yeah,
Yes. Well, she's always so nice.
yeah,
I mean, I was like, once you said that, I went back and looked at our Instagram thread, and
yeah,
it's always like so positive and encouraging. So I appreciate that.
yeah. Well, thanks for being here. Appreciate
Yes,
your time.
thank you so much.
Thanks for listening, folks. You can find the full blog post for every episode, along with key takeaways and links at mountain-mule.com. If you haven't yet, consider following the show. That one small action helps these Montana businesses get seen, grow, and thrive, and it helps this podcast keep going too. If you know a business that would be a good fit for the show, we'd love to hear from you. Just reach out through the website or social. Thank you for supporting these Montana businesses. See you on the next show.